And we welcome you to a lovely morning on the central coast of California in Monterey for the Firestone Grand Prix of Monterey. It's WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and it's time for practice 2 for the NTT IndyCar Series on qualifying day. Headed up to race day tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern on USA Network. Lee Diffie is at the U.S. Olympic Track and Field Trials. He'll be back with us in a couple of weeks at Mid-Ohio. Kevin Lee, James Hinchcliffe, Dylan Welch, and Georgia Henneberry for the second IndyCar practice of the weekend. We often are greeted by fog in the early morning, but no such thing today. Conditions are perfect. It is warming up nicely today. Already 72 degrees is the temperature, and it won't get much warmer than that this morning. What happened to Will Power?
Say we're 2 laps in, already seeing drivers dropping wheels. That's exit of turn 10. One of the quickest corners on the track here. Big banking, more banking in turn 10 than at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You see gets in there, a little bit of understeer, and as soon as you drop one tire in the dirt there, Kev, it's so hard to hang on to it. Will, again, doing a good job, not ending up sideways, not ending up in the wall. Linus Lundqvist there, a little hot into the corkscrew. Everybody likes practicing their Zanardi just in case. Just in case. Oh, Christian Rasmussen. That's a lot of damage.
Contact.
So turn 10 we're hearing, same place that Will Power went off.
Yeah, I'm okay.
You see the tire barrier completely removed from the wall there. I said it was one of the quickest corners on the racetrack. That banking really gives you a lot of confidence to roll a ton of speed in, but big damage to the back of that race car. And right before qualifying, not an ideal scenario here for the rookie, for Ed Carpenter Racing. Let's take a look at what happened. Oh, just a bit of a tank slapper overcorrection mid-corner.
So that's going to be certainly the left corner. The question about how much other damage in the rear, the wing. Did it get a front corner as well as it spun around?
Yeah.
Center. So what happened? What was the issue there?
Yeah, I think the rear just kind of stepped out as I was coming into the compression, and then just kind of tank slapped out towards the wall. So yeah, I mean, really sucked. I feel like we needed that time in the car, and I'm just sorry for the boys to have to put the car back together before qualifying now. But yeah, not what we wanted to do here today, but yeah. Stuff happens.
We heard a lot of guys talk yesterday just kind of about the inconsistencies in track grip. How razor edge is the grip level and line sensitive is this place right now?
Yeah, the line is super tight. At least it was yesterday. I'm sure it's the same today. I only really got a few laps on it. But hopefully it'll widen as more cars run on the track. But yeah, definitely pretty tight.
Thanks, Christian. Glad you're okay.
And he did say we wanted to save a little bit of life on the primary tires because I'm not sure yet. It might be a primary race. His 2 teammates were really quick. Here was Marcus a moment ago. Did he hang on to the slide?
Yeah, I'll give him that one. Just listen on board. The thing is, you come up over that crest, and the car just gets light right as you're on peak brake pressure. It's so easy for the rear tires to lock up. You hear the engine noise quiet down as the rears start to lock up, and him just sort of e-brake turning it into the corner there. Not the fastest way around the corners. We see Scott Dixon recovering from a spin down in turn 11. The challenges continue for the number 9 of Scott Dixon as we watch the timing pile on to see Alex Rossi now in the McLaren jump to the top of the times.
Dixon was in the 23rd, 24th range much of the day. Put a lap in near the end to end up with 18th.
Let's see what happened to him down in the final turn there. So this is coming into turn 10 where we saw Rasmussen have his issue.
Left it.
And just, again, rear locking. Almost identical condition to what we just saw out of Marcus Ericsson. Obviously different corner. Again, hot tires, tall first gear. It's really hard to spin that car around. So Dixon making the clutch work hard there to get that thing turned back around, but the balance woes continue for the Kiwi. Not as well yesterday as this guy here. Good Rancher Chevy Scott McLaughlin was P1 as we see Stingray Rob off in the gravel. That looks like it might be up on the entry to the corkscrew. As the red flag comes out once again.
Red flag.
So the clock stops once more. If we get to within 31 minutes and 46 seconds of the 11 o'clock hour, the clock will start to run again. We cannot run past 11 o'clock. So let's take a look here again. That's rear locking very early in the brake zone, similar to what we saw out of Ericsson. Just wasn't able to keep it pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I am so excited to be able to show you the corkscrew. Stingray Rob right across the way over there getting helped by the AMR IndyCar safety team. But I wanted to show you just how iconic this corkscrew turn is. This is turns 8 and 8A. And while these cars fly down this corkscrew, they are dropping over 170 feet. I talked to Romain Grosjean yesterday. He said it feels like you're flying into the unknown because realistically you can't really see when you come over this corner. The drop is so steep and it feels like it just keeps going and going. It's a left-hander, it's a right-hander, it's back into a left-hander. It has to be challenging for these drivers, but obviously one of the most iconic spots here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and we wanted to give you a little bit of a closer look. Maybe we'll get you some cars going down as one Stingray, and he's making his way right back onto the track to get restarted as well.
So you've got to be a little bit cautious about not overdoing that. Well, big correction there from McLaughlin in 10. It really seems like drivers are struggling with the track surface a bit more this morning than what we saw yesterday. Most of these guys will be starting on used primaries from yesterday, probably switching over to a new set at some point. Almost right on board with yesterday's fastest man for a lap.
Massive rear locking there. Copy. Yeah, into the corkscrew, just massive rear lock. Mid-brake, probably fourth to third. Copy, yeah, we saw that.
I understood massive rear lock.
Yeah, top of the corkscrew on the downshift from fourth to third gear. So it seems to be an affliction that's affecting a lot of race cars. You know, getting that brake balance right is such a challenge, and when it's again a track like this, you might want something a little bit different for one corner than another, but it's a tough adjustment to make on the fly. Actually, this guy right here, Kiffin Simpson, shout out to him, running P6 right now, highest rookie by a good margin over Linus Lundqvist. The young driver from the Cayman Islands in his rookie season for Chip Ganassi Racing, really taking well to WeatherTech.
Kiffin has had bad luck the last couple of weekends. He's done such a good job of protecting the car and finishing races, but at Detroit he was collected at one point when two others came together, and then at Road America he was hit from behind by Christian Rasmussen, who was penalized in that incident.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a remarkable finishing record. He's been very strong in all the sessions, not making a lot of mistakes. Power here just really struggling with the back of that race car. Huge power down issues coming out of 2, then the rear snapping on entry to 3.
Here's Romain Grosjean.
It's not It's not a pleasant trip through the inside of that corner.
Whoa.
And then, yeah, the curb was not designed to be hit quite like that. It doesn't look too bad from out here, but inside the race car, it's a very uncomfortable trip.
I don't even think it looks all that good from out here. I cannot imagine what it's like in the cockpit.
Steering wheel is trying to rip out of your hands with all the aggressive camber in the corners there.
Pato O'Ward is on his really first flyer. He's done an outlap here, so he's still working his way up to speed.
And he'll have had a lot of information from Rossi on what the car is doing, how the track conditions are. So I expect him to be pretty competitive early in this run because the track conditions are improving every lap, every time a car circulates, lays down a little bit more Firestone rubber on the racetrack. We know the car's quick. Rossi's sitting atop the charts right now at a 108.6.
It's interesting that Rasmussen's time in just a couple of laps is still holding into sixth.
That's a great point.
Rosenquist just jumped up to fourth a moment ago.
Look how tight it is, guys. 108.6 P1, 108.6 P2, 108.6 Marcus Armstrong in P3, 108.7 for Rosenquist in fourth. So we'll see where Pato can sneak here. Oh, whoa. Big correction in turn 10. It's going to cost him a chunk of time. He still jumps up to P12 with that lap. No doubt a couple tenths lost right before the line. That's going to affect the start of this lap as well. With that.
This is Rinus VK.
Yeah, your outside front, the right front heading into the corkscrew there. That's what's so tricky about this corner. Normally you're locking your inside front, but with the track elevation changing so aggressively, just cresting that hill on the brakes, it can unsettle any corner of the track. You had both fronts a little bit locked there. Still made the corner, but it's such a uniquely challenging brake zone and entry for a corner, and then a uniquely challenging mid-corner exit as well.
Felix Rosenquist right now 8th quick. Dylan?
And he had some detailed feedback for his team about his race car. Take a listen.
5 point is a little sharp and early. Mainly sharp, I say. Like if you can make it more linear, it'll be better. Okay, we copy that.
Okay, so translate that for us, James. To me, I think that kind of matches what I've heard some other teams talk about, where they just want the car to be maybe a little bit more predictable if possible. Is that kind of how you explain that or understand that?
Well, it sounded to me like, did he say bite point at the beginning of that transmission, Dylan? Is that what you heard?
Or entry point, maybe? Like corner entry, maybe?
Well, it could be a couple things. It could be corner entry. When he talks about bite point, normally that's something you refer to when talking about clutch engagement. And, you know, we've talked about how when you're on a 6-gear stack, a 6-gear pattern like they are here, leaving the pits can be a challenge. You can adjust the clutch map on these cars. The clutch obviously hand controlled on the steering wheel electronically, so you can adjust bits of that to try to help you get in and out of the box. Yeah, certainly from if it's front grip, if it's bite at turn in, you know, you want a car that's positive, but you don't want it to get to the point where the front's overpowering the rear and creating an oversteer event shortly after turn-in. So a couple different things he could be talking about, but either way, he sounds very calm, right? That's the thing I take out of that transmission is he seems calm, confident in the pace of the car. You know, he was pretty quick in that first run before we started seeing some new tires get strapped onto these cars. So Felix kind of going back to, you know, that strong single-lap pace that we've seen out of him really all season long.
Scott Dixon is 9th in this session, and his teammate Kiffin Simpson is in the gravel.
Is that turn 5, maybe? Red flag immediately out.
Yeah, exit of 5.
Oh, no, that's exit of 10.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah, our timing screen had frozen a bit there, but again, we were talking earlier about turn 9, being one of the fastest, most challenging corners. You come out of the corkscrew, you're building speed, the car's accelerating as you're going downhill, and it's the corner that never ends. It just keeps going, keeps building. The G builds, it compresses right at the apex there. You just saw the Ford, Kiffin Simpson, a little bit of a loose moment, couldn't quite catch it off into the gravel. But again, no contact with anything, which has been great. I mean, short of that incident with Christian Rasmussen, we've been pretty lucky in terms of cars making contact for as many that have been dropping wheels and having spins.
Here's the teenager Nolan Siegel. And It is going to take some time, but I would say a step in the right direction. 27th yesterday, 25th so far today. And just from pure pace, while most others are not as quick as yesterday, he is quicker. 1:10.0 was his fastest yesterday, and today 1:09.7, so he's 3 or 4 tenths quicker.
And that would have been set on reds as well. So if you went even back earlier into the session and dove into what his blacks time was, it's probably an even bigger improvement. But that's what happens, right? I mean, you spend a day on the racetrack, you go home, you sleep on it, everything sort of marinades overnight in a driver's brain, and you show up to the racetrack the next day, change nothing, exact same conditions, and you'll naturally just be a little bit faster.
And then we're also keeping an eye on David Malukas in a brand new situation. He was supposed to be in the 6, now he's in the 66. Georgia.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm back on pit lane, back to business, but I just caught up with the 66 team. This is actually the first session for David that he has not worn his wrist brace, and he's told the team it feels good. It actually feels better than it did before. So a positive update on the wrist of David Malukas in his new 66 seat.
Love this on board from Graham Rahal. He sounds like he's on. He's still pushing.
See, Malukas just went better to go to 20th. Ferrucci was P27, just found a decent amount of time to go to 18th.
Yeah, Graham's backed out of this one, just getting back to the field, and he is the last one across the line, but the first one at the top of the pylon when this session ends is Colin Herta, Dylan.
Been a good weekend so far. Second yesterday, first here as we get set to go for qualifying. So everybody's kind of balancing or battling the grip and just kind of finding consistency with their race car. How confident do you feel in yours heading to qualifying?
It feels really nice. It felt nice on reds yesterday. It felt good on blacks today. So I think we're in a good spot. We don't need to do much, and we should be good. I think this place is so tricky to get the lap right and just to get everything right, especially when you have tire wear. It just makes it so hard to get other runs other than the new tire runs in. So I think you saw for everybody it's difficult just to keep the car on the tarmac.
We've seen a lot of guys, too, that have kind of been trying to conserve the tires. I think there's still some unknown of maybe what set is going to be favorable for Sunday. So how do you manage that for qualifying? What's the thought process there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still unclear on if people are going to want to run reds or blacks in the race, and so that's probably why you saw most people only run one set here today. So it's just to keep our options open, especially in qualifying. You can run maybe an extra set of blacks if you think that's the right thing in the Fast 6 or not. And then also in the race, it keeps your options open a little bit more.
All right, 26 is fast so far, Georgia.
Someone else is fast. That's Felix Rosenqvist. Kind of saved the best for last there. Posted your best lap right there on that last session, last couple minutes. So tell us about it.
Yeah, a bit of a, it's always a bit messy here, especially in the short session. So I think the track was just a bit cleaner in the end. It's like when everyone was out there was a lot of dust and stuff on the track, and just kind of kept going and improved a little bit in the end. And I think we're in the game. It wasn't an optimal run, so Colton seems to have a really, really good lap there. But apart from that, I think we're in the game.
When you say you're in the game, does that mean that you feel confident enough that you can pull off this pole back to back?
I mean, last year, honestly, I wasn't the quickest, but I was the only one who put a lap together, and it's super hard. It's easy to make a mistake, and I think if you have a good car that you can trust, you do the laps, even if you're not ultimately the quickest, I think that will get you through, and then you just have to go all in on the last attempt. But it's tight. It's gonna be tough to make it for sure.
That's the theme of this whole IndyCar series. It's tight. Everyone is super competitive. Thanks, Felix. He ended 7th on the board.
And you need the brakes to fall your way, meaning just simply the luck of the draw and clean track to put a lap together in qualifying. Here, Hinch, is how we finished up practice 2.
Yeah, you talk about how tight it is. Look, Colin Herta's got a nice little buffer at the front, but behind him, 2 to 10, it is so tight. Just a little over 2 tenths covering those 9 cars from a bunch of different teams represented there, but all the usual suspects doing a great job. Marcus Ericsson for Andretti Global, first one outside the top 10. Grosjean keeping up his strong pace here. And how about Rasmussen's time? Holding on for 14th, even though he only did 3 laps.
They are working to repair his car in time for qualifying this afternoon. Here are those looking for a little bit more. Pietro Fittipaldi was third quick yesterday on the alternates, 23rd today in the primary session.